Good morning, everyone. It's Saturday. It's
Hello.
Saturday. The weekend is here. My name is Michelle Kinney. I'm your co-host today. I'm with Julie Roginski. She's the author of Salty Politics on Substack. Tara Setmeyer will be here shortly. I hope everyone's doing great, considering the fact that this week has been awful.
It has been, well, let's begin by saying Tara is back from Italy, which is awesome. She'll be joining us in minutes. JoJo is on soccer mom duty on Saturdays for the soccer team.
Yeah,
So
she's not going to be able to come for a little while.
Which is okay. I mean, it's not
Yeah.
okay. We love JoJo, but she has to do soccer mom duties. And frankly, I'm going to have to do soccer mom duties soon also. I will try to, and squash duties.
Oh, God. See, I know we've talked about this before, but I was like, I don't have kids, but I was like, I feel like this would be the part of parenting that I'd be like, I don't want to do it.
Well, I gotta complain, and anybody in the chat here can join me in complaining. So my son is a big athlete. He loves sports, which is wonderful. Like, especially for boys.
It's great.
I feel like
Yes.
For everybody, but I feel like for boys, because I only have a boy, I feel like it's so important because when they're busy on the field, they're occupied and doing stuff rather than playing video games at home or doing God knows what boys do.
Absolutely.
And so he from day one has just been a huge, like, you know, some kids are into art, some kids are into whatever. Mine is just really into sports. So I got him into soccer when he was like 2. Like, I took him to a little kick and play thing where they sat around and sang songs and kicked soccer balls. But then ultimately he became a big soccer player, and he did travel soccer. And travel soccer was like and I know people in the chat are going to say you're going to miss it when it's over. No, it's over now, and I don't miss it. Like, because travel soccer entailed going to tournaments, and this was when he was like 7 or 8. Now it's like going to tournaments all over the country. But back then, we live in New York. It was going to tournaments on Long Island, which is not easy to get to. Like, it's not like big tournaments. So I'm not suggesting like tournaments in all 5 boroughs. And again, New York is not, unless you have a car, which I do, but it's not easy to get around.
No, I like my friends in Brooklyn. Sometimes I'm like, it'd be easier if you lived in Philly, quite frankly, to get to you.
And then we'd have these like 3-day tournaments where we'd have to go up to Albany, which if anybody here is from Albany, God bless you, but there's nothing to do in Albany.
There really isn't. Well, yeah. I mean, in Albany proper, maybe not. Yeah. In the surrounding areas, the capital.
Surrounding areas for sure. Like, Saratoga is beautiful. The Berkshires, where our house is gorgeous.
Absolutely.
Like, you can't go anywhere because you're on a soccer field. And then like South Jersey. But when I say South Jersey, I mean like really far South Jersey. Like
you're like Philly almost.
No, past Philly. Like like Cranberry Bog.
Need a map. Okay, yeah.
The part of Jersey that people don't even know exists, which is like all farmland, and it's beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
But there's nothing there. And it was like Memorial Day weekend and Veterans Day, like every 3-day weekend. And ultimately I was like, I just can't do this anymore. Like, I legitimately can't do this anymore. And then when my son got into middle school, he goes to a pretty intense school. They had a tremendous amount of homework that started piling up for them. So sometimes practice, because he'd have to study for tests, and it would take and the coach finally went to him and said, if you're not going to take soccer seriously at school, what are you even doing here? And I was like, really?
What?
Like, no. Like, he's not going to take soccer seriously at school. Like, it's just not.
I was like, what do you think he's going to do? Like, graduate from high school and go play for the Premier League? Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, that's a lot to ask a kid. Like, yes, you have to be dedicated if you're going to commit to something, but like, that's kind of crazy.
And so my attitude about all of this was just no, like, it's not going to happen. So I finally pulled him, which, I think it was so much work for him that he wasn't particularly upset. So now he plays soccer for a school team, which is fine because it's not weekend games yet. I think in high school it is. He's standing in the corner over there right now, giving me the evil eye. But now he's also into squash, and squash tournaments are like every weekend, which we're not doing because I'm not giving up my weekends. But it's like also in every pretentious country club in the tri-state area. I went to one of these tournaments, and it took place at the Westchester Country Club. And I walked in, I was like, what is this place? Like, where are we? It was like a castle. It was insane. So that's a long way of saying that I will be joining from my car sometimes
Mm,
on weekends when he's squash tournaments.
yeah.
So there you go.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I played soccer 7th, 8th, ninth grade. I ended up quitting. I played varsity for like a few weeks in
And
when I
nine.
was in 10th grade. I played varsity for a few weeks. And then I was in the musical though, and I had to make a choice because where I went to school at high school, the music department was very, 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 like very good. And you had to make a choice. Like you couldn't do both. You had to choose sports or because you had rehearsal every single day. So, I eventually had to make the choice. It was fine. But I did do the travel soccer. I feel like I did it like when I was maybe 6th, 7th, 8th grade, and it was a co-ed team, which is
Wow,
interesting.
that's
Yeah,
awesome.
and we had to go. We played down in like Skinny Atlas and like the Finger Lakes and stuff like that. Which again, like from
That
where
was
I'm from,
beautiful,
oh, it's the
beautiful.
best. I love the
Yeah,
Finger Lakes.
yeah.
But, for my parents, I can't imagine that must have been very annoying because you have to get down and then over on 90. It's not an easy, place to get to, but, it's and then there's my husband who was flying all over the country to play. Same with my sister-in-law, which, God bless, but
But that's what I mean. Like, if you're gonna do it, you have to devote your entire life to it. And
yeah,
it's
yeah.
wonderful for your husband and his parents that they were willing to fly all over the country to do it.
Yeah,
I
very nice.
I might be willing to do it for squash because that's just a whole different that's a way to get to college. But
Well, true, true, right.
but soccer is like, I don't know.
Right.
I
Well, and it's in very competitive. You have to be very, very, very good
yeah,
to go play in college, and because there are just because of sheer volume, right?
yeah.
If you play another sport, like you said, squash, or if you're into
True.
fencing or crew,
I was did I say
um,
fencer in high school? Do you know this?
wait, what?
Yes, I was 8th in the state of New Jersey in 10th grade.
What?
I was a big, big fencer in high school.
I feel like every time I talk to you, Julia, there's like a new thing.
I know, little
Fencing.
Nebraska. I
Do you have
was.
photos? Because I'd like to see those.
I'm sure that my parents somewhere probably have photos, but back when I was doing fencing, there's 3 types of fencing. There's foil, there's saber, and there's épée. Girls were only allowed to do foil, which is it doesn't matter. But épée, if saber is the one where you can hit somebody really hard on the head, like it's much more violent. Girls were not allowed to do that. They can't do this now, but at least in
No.
my school, they were only allowed to do.
Yeah.
And so my foil was, they don't call them swords, they call them foils, right? My foil was in the trunk of my car. And my parents decided my senior year to well, I shared my car. I shouldn't say my car, my parents' car, because I used to take it in my senior year to drive to meets. Memorial Day weekend, I want to say, of my senior year, my parents decided they were going to drive up to Montreal, which is
Mm.
a really long drive from New Jersey.
Yeah, from down here, yeah.
Yeah. And they get to the border, and my parents are Russian immigrants. So my father has a heavy accent.
Mhm.
They get to the border, and of course, because he doesn't look American or sound American, I should say, because he has an accent,
Right.
the person at the border says, "Do you have any weapons?" And my father says, "No, of course not." And the guy says, "Can you open up your trunk just to check?" And my father says, "Okay." So he opens up the trunk and they see a sword in it.
Oh, no. Oh,
And
no.
they banned them from Canada. And I don't even know if my father is
Wait, are
still.
you serious?
Yes, because he was transporting a weapon.
Even though it was for a sport?
They don't know that. They just see a sword. I mean, obviously, but like they confiscate my foil, which I was like, what just happened? Like, I need this. And actually, I don't know that I needed it. It was my senior year of high school.
Yeah.
I think I was already graduating, but they confiscate it and they don't allow them to cross the border. And my parents literally, this is like pre cell phone days, they can't call anybody. So they're like, should we go to a different border point and try to cross there? Or are we like on some permanent list?
Yeah, I would be afraid to do that.
And
Yeah.
I think they were worried that they were going to be like arrested because they were worried they were going to be on some list. And they turned around and had to drive all the way back.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
What year was this?
I want to say like 1991. Yeah, it was my senior
Okay.
year.
Well, right. And that's when the Soviet Union was collapsed.
No, I don't think it was because they were Russian. I think it was just they sounded
just in general. Right.
I've driven across the border to Canada maybe 3 or 4 times in my life, and they've never they asked for my ID, and I
right.
Yeah, like they never stopped me to say, do you have any weapons? Do you have anything? But I think if you sound like you're foreign and you don't sound like American,
and you have a sword and
well, they didn't know. I mean, obviously, I've never had anybody ask me to open up my trunk, but yes, isn't that a terrible story?
That's awful.
I don't know that my father has been back to Canada since. I have to ask him.
He's probably like, screw this place.
I don't think it was screw this place. I think he's on some permanent, like bringing I don't know. I don't know if he's worried that he's on some permanent, like, do not enter. Like, he's not going to bother to go all the way to Canada.
Yeah. He's not like dying to go get some poutine, right.
And by the way, Montreal bagels, which everybody says are amazing.
They're not. Can we talk about this?
Oh,
okay. If you're in the chat,
tell us if you've been to Montreal.
If you're in the chat and you have something to say about this, I would love to hear about it because, look who it is. Look who it is saying hello in the chat, first of all.
Oh.
And then here. Hello, Tara. I'm about to complain about Montreal bagels.
Have you ever had Montreal bagels?
No, I don't even know what those are.
Okay. So
everyone loses their mind about the Montreal bagels. They're so good. You have to go. And so I go, and there's a line around the block, and we sit and we stand, and of course it's raining, and I'm like, ugh. I get in there and I see all the bagels, and I'm like, okay, I get a bagel because apparently that you're supposed to get the sesame seed. That's like the best one. I took one bite and I was like,
me too. They dump so much sugar in those bagels. It's disgusting.
I'm like, I'm from New York. Like, this ain't, what is this even?
Are we talking about like literally Montreal, Canada?
Yes. And the thing here's the thing. Everybody always says New York bagels are the best. The only thing that could possibly compete with New York bagels are Montreal bagels. Nobody understands why New York bagels are so good. It may be the water. People are like, maybe it's New York water. Like, it's just a fact that New York and New Jersey, because it's the same thing, their bagels are the best. They really are. Like, you can export that formula to California and it just won't taste the same. And it's not because I'm being a New Yorker about this. Legitimately, they're just not good anywhere else. And everybody always says the only place that can compete with New York in the bagel wars, the only place is Montreal. And I had the same experience as Michelle. You get on the stupid line and you're like, I got to try this. I can't wait. I'm so excited. And I was like, what is this? They take like a pound of sugar and they put them in the bagel. And like, I don't need a donut. I need a bagel. Like, it's disgusting.
I know. And it's like, it's not like they're bad. Like, they're not like,
I can eat
not good either.
Well, that sounds awful. And bagels are one of the things that I miss the most. Bagels, pizza.
Yeah.
And, Taylor egg, ham and cheese on a hard roll, salt, pepper, ketchup. Yeah. Those are things that I miss. Are deli, things that folks from Jersey take for granted. And the first thing I do when I get down the shore or back home in Paramus is I get a bagel or a slice of pizza. And I've never been to Montreal other than the airport.
Oh yeah.
And but I hear good things. I hear it has a great food,
wonderful city
and a great jazz festival that I hope we go to one day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wonderful city, great food other than the bagels.
Great food. And poutine. I'm not a poutine fan.
Yeah, me either. I'm not. I was like, what the hell is this? The first time I had it, not in Canada, somewhere in the US. Yeah. I think I was in Denver, and I was like, okay, no offense to my Canadian friends, but not my thing.
Yeah, not my thing either.
Give me disco fries at 3 a.m. in a Jersey diner.
Right, they're like, that's like the Jersey version, right? But like probably a little less heavy. I mean, poutine is just so much. It's like the cheese curd and the thing, and it just sits at the bottom of your stomach and waits until you have a stomach ache.
I just don't like the flavors. Like they had all kinds of like these exotic flavors, and maybe that was like some kind of foo-foo version of poutine.
Maybe.
But I was like, I didn't like it. I would give it a chance again, I guess, while like actually in Canada.
Yeah, I definitely like if you're there, have it just to say you have, but you know, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's not like the food in Sicily.
Oh yeah. But having said that, I want to issue a statement to our Canadian friends. I love Montreal. Like, it is a wonderful city.
I've heard it's a great city.
It was a city where I would literally live. Like, I love. I've never been to Vancouver. I'm dying to go. But
I've never been to the west coast of Canada.
As between Toronto and Montreal, I think they're both great towns. I would move to Montreal. Like, I love Montreal. Your bagels, however, suck.
I've only been
coming from us. You know what I'm saying? Like people who live in like the bagel capital of the world.
We know bagels and
right.
Yeah. I will say this though, that as a bagel snob, I am pleasantly surprised by Bethesda Bagels in Bethesda, Maryland.
Okay.
The closest bagels to Jersey bagels that I've had outside of the Jersey area ever. Like enough where it could like satisfy the itch without having to drive 4.5 hours home.
Yeah.
Like, the bagels are they're pretty good. I don't know if they chuck the water in from Jersey or what.
That's very, they might.
They might because there's something that they do very well in, so shout out to Bethesda Bagels.
Yeah.
I'll travel to Montreal for poutine and COVID booster. I know.
My in-laws used to live in Florida for like 15 years or something, and because there's a lot of like snowbirds and stuff from New York, in Palm Beach, there was a guy who owned this bagel place, and he would drive trucks of New York water, drive them to Florida to make the bagels. Like no joke.
Because people from Florida pretty much are New Yorkers,
right?
Florida, and they demand their bagels. I get it. I understand. I mean,
and listen,
I'm voting like New Yorkers when they get down there, which is disgusting.
Right.
That. So you guys, go ahead. Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, I was going to ask Tara what the best thing is she had to eat. I mean, I'm sure it's hard to make a choice, but maybe like a top 3 that you had when you were in Sicily.
To narrow it down, oh my God. Well, you can never have anything bad there.
Well, right. But like the top, like the ones that you took a bite and you were like, oh my God. Something like that.
Because we were in the island most of the time, we were inland for a little bit, but the fish is just extraordinary.
Okay.
The swordfish, the tuna, they're known for tuna in a lot of areas of Sicily. That was like a big industry thing for many, many years. And so there were a couple of meals where we had unbelievable grilled like swordfish and marinated sardines. I love sardines. And like it was just like literally freshly caught that day, like in their backyards, because they have some of their houses where they live, they literally back up to the water and they go out and the fishermen come in, they bring the catch, they show you the fish. Here you go. This is what we got today. Which one do you want? Like it is extraordinary. Also, I'm a big fan of pistachio. And so a lot of places in Sicily, they do a lot of pistachio cream, pistachio like pasta, nuts, things. I love pistachio cannolis. So, the cakes that we had made, Sicilian cassata cakes that with like pistachio cream filling. So pistachio gelato. So like I pistachioed out while I was in Sicily because it's just like amazing. So all the pistachio stuff, pistachio pastas, gelatos, cakes, cannolis, like amazing. So yeah, I mean the fish and the pistachio pastas are just, oh my God. And then we had a barbecue. So like in Kokomo where we got married, they're known for their meats. So like the prosciutto there is just unbelievable.
Crazy. I'm sure it's so good.
Like the sausage, if you're into sausage, they literally have a sausage festival, Salsiccia festival in Sicily, in one of the towns near where we got married. So our friends are like, you have to come back for that, because my husband loves sausage. So they're like, you got to come back for the sausage festival in April. I was like, well, listen, my husband's birthday is in April. Don't tempt us.
Right.
So yeah, and then of course, the wines are just so good if you're into like really earthy mineral wines because of Mount Etna. And we had a chance to go to something called the Vili Milo Annual Wine Festival, which is in the town of Milo, which is on the north slope of Mount Etna, like in between Catania and Taormina, for people who know Sicily. And so we were up in the mountains, and we were, because we're wine snobs, I really wanted to go to this. And so it's like, it's like this little rinky-dink town that's been there for 1,000 years. Fornazza is like another one that's right there. We were sitting there eating at this place in the corner of like one of the streets, and it's like one of the roads that goes like up toward the slope of Mount Etna. It's like very, like a lot of people go for bikers. Michelle, I will tell you offline who I was thinking about when I was watching the bikers cycling. I was just waiting for him to show up because they're his people. But there was this water fountain that was like right next to, we were sitting outside of this restaurant. There was this water fountain. And, there's a lot of natural, especially in like the Mount Etna area, there's a lot of like natural springs and stuff. And so I'm like, why is everybody coming to this water fountain? And the next thing you knew, it was like, not just like the cyclists, there was like the locals were coming. They would literally pull up 4 people in a car, get out and drink from this water fountain. So I'm like, because, some places, especially in the islands, you can't drink the tap water. Like, it's just not potable. That's why everybody has bottled water. But I'm thinking, what is happening here? Because like in New Zealand, if anybody's ever been to New Zealand who's watching, New Zealand, you can literally pull over on the side of the road, take your water bottle and drink water from the spring.
That's crazy.
It's ridiculous. How
even knowing that I could, I don't think I would, because I'd be so afraid. You know what I mean? But like, I see what you mean. Yeah.
Well, we did, and we survived. But I'm just saying, like, but in Italy, so I'm like, what is going on? So I'm watching person after person after carloads of people stopping to go to this freaking water fountain. So of course I Googled it. I went to the Google machine and I asked, I was like, okay, cosa, what is the freaking water fountain? So then it's apparently like a well-known water spring that everyone from that comes down from Etna. And it's like fresh water. There's like a few of these fountains. Like if you've been in other towns and some piazzas and small towns in Italy all over, you'll see like they've been there for years. They have like the tap kind of like that's been there, like a water fountain in the middle of town somewhere. So that's what this was. It's been there for hundreds of years, access to this thing. So I'm like, I'm going to drink from this. And Marcel was like, we're both not drinking from it because if something happens, one of us has to be functional. I was like, oh, for fuck's sake. So I went and I drank from it and I survived. It was lovely. So awesome. The wines, the water. I mean, we actually went to this vineyard called Gambino Winery. So of course I was intrigued. I'm like, is it that Gambino? And I'm sure I'm not the only dumbass American who's asked that question. But in fact, it's not. I mean, the Gambino family came from Sicily, but like there's a lot of them. Okay.
Right.
So, and it was started actually, the wife's name was Gambino. That was her maiden name. And the husband's name was, I think, Rachita. And so family affair, they bought this land and beautiful scenery. Like it's on the slope of the mountain and you can oversee, you're looking out into the water. And then you've got like Taormina over here. You've got Catania over there. I mean, unbelievable. And the wines were phenomenal. The service was phenomenal. We ended up meeting the owner. The owner's son has taken over. The owners are older now. They're probably, I think, in their like late 80s. And the father was still there. Now his son, Francisco, runs everything now. But the father, it was toward the end of the day, and there was Papa sitting there watching what was going on. And when they found out it was our anniversary, they like gave us a free bottle, and they were all like, it was like a whole big thing because it's love. And it was just really, it was just really cool to be able to experience all those different wines and at the Milo Festival. It's a small town, but it has this beautiful that like overlooks everything. It's like the only thing that happens there. But the wine, for people who are wine enthusiasts, the Mount Etna region, if you're into that, if you ever have an opportunity, you should go. It's like, you've got Napa for the Cab Sauv, you've got Sonoma for Pinot Noirs, and then you have, other areas in our country for different things. Virginia, Piedmont, you've got the Cab Francs and the Nortons. Mount Etna is another one of those regions that is very underrated. And they've really built up the wine industry. Because for the young folks who live in Sicily, it's very hard to find work. And unless it's like agricultural or tourism. And so there's been like a brain drain. As soon as they have an opportunity to leave, they often do. They'll go to either the cities or they'll leave the country. But the wine industry in Etna and in Sicily has started to keep some of the traditional winemaking from, that's been around for hundreds and hundreds of years. Now there's a lot of technology that changes it, but they specialize in natural winemaking. So it's really picked up like these kind of like family owned generational businesses there, keeping some of the younger folks there learning the old ways. And I think in 30 years ago, there was only 41 registered wineries. Now there's like over 400. Wow. So it's like a huge, huge thing and very, very cool. So my husband tapped out early. He's a novice. He tapped out early. There's some funny pictures of him being like, I already had 12 glasses of wine. I can't drink anymore. I'm like, we traveled all this way. We're at the wine festival in Sicily. You're not going to drink any more wine? What am I going to do with you? So it's pretty funny, but well worth it. So, there's just so many lovely, lovely things in Sicily to want to keep you there and recharge. And, not every day you get to like walk on lava mounds and like play with like lava from an active volcano that's now dried up, like the basalt, the black like basalt that's there. It's crazy. The freaking thing goes up all the time. Like Etna is one of the most active volcanoes in the world. I'm like, what do we do if this thing blows? Like, where's the evacuation route? I'm like, is it going to come down here? Like, everybody's just like, whatever. I heard some sirens going off. I'm like, is it erupting? I'm like, is it erupting? Let's look out the window. It's like, it's ridiculous.
You're living on the edge, Tara.
I know.
That's living on the edge.
That's awesome.
And well, I mean, listen, I mean, not to mention, I mean, not that you be a person that would completely unplug, but
you guys heard from me virtually every day.
Yeah, but while you were there, the country is having a bit of a
country went to hell.
Yeah, having a bit of a moment, as the kids would say. And I know we talked about this on Wednesday a little bit, but Tara, I know that you spoke to the people that you were staying with about how people in Italy, at least, right, are looking at the United States, who we have been the shining city on a hill for a very long time, at least for the last 80 something years. And now they look at us and they are scared for us. They are concerned, I'm sure, for the rest of the world, because if the United States is one of the bad guys now, what does that mean for the rest of the world, especially in Europe, right? So, I mean, these things are real. And, to have people around the world looking at us, thinking these things.
Yes.
It's embarrassing. It's shameful. But like at the same time, I'm like, we did this. I mean, not us, but like,
let me tell you something. I spent, and I'm not kidding, maybe Wednesday or Thursday, I can't remember when, looking at, because I think people here know I have a lot of family in France, especially in Paris. So for me to move to Paris would not, I'm not a French citizen, so that would be hard. But for me to move to Paris would be easier than for other people because I have a very close, group of cousins there who I'm very tight with, and it would not, the transition would be easier. I spent all of, I think, Wednesday or Thursday looking at the American school in Paris to see if I could transfer my son there. And it's in a neighborhood of Paris called Saint Cloud, it's a suburb of Paris, super expensive. So I was looking at houses there and I was like, whoa, this is like crazy house. But but I literally was like, I don't know that I want to stay here anymore with what's going on, because I don't know about you, Tara, but I got a tremendous amount of death threats in the wake of Charlie Kirk's murder. And which we can get to in a moment. And I was like, you know what? I don't take those seriously because there's I'm sure a long line of people much more important than I am that they're going to get to first. But in a country where people are now killing each other consistently for their political views, like, I don't know, like, so, and just the guns and the proliferation and the hate, and it's not going to get, I was feeling very down. So I was doing all this research. My husband comes home and I was like, how do you feel about moving to France? And he's like, no. I just kept walking. So that's the end of that. But I just want to say, then I text one of my cousins in Paris, and I said, hey, I'm really thinking about potentially going to Paris, to France, at least for a year, just to see this. And without skipping a beat, and this is a 31-year-old man, without skipping a beat, he said, he loves the United States. He comes here all the time. He's if he could move to America, he would. Maybe before Trump, if he moved here, he would. He loves it here. And he's like, I don't blame you. And he said, basically, I'm so sorry about all the violence happening in your country. I just can't believe what's going on. I mean, they're looking at us, and I know that you know this, Tara, but they're looking at us like we've lost our fucking minds. Sorry, Dad, but it's true.
It is absolutely true. I mean, I think I sent you guys the video of our friend Bruno, the chef, who actually grew up in France, but lives in Italy and Sicily now full time, and has for a long time. So he speaks both French and Italian, and he's a really great chef. And he was like, it like broke my heart, because he said, you heard him. He goes, like, I don't understand what's happening in your country. He's like, he goes, I don't want to be American. He was like, no. Yeah. And he goes, he basically, and like all my friends there's a couple of American expats, couple of British expats there, the Sicilians that are there, and then there was a Belgian couple that we had just met that moved into the town where we got married, and that we got introduced to, lovely people, and every single one of them were like, we have to get you over here. You need to have, like, they're like, can you do what you do from here? I was like, I could. I could, but I don't know. I don't know. It's conflicting. Like, I'm not ready to say, just chalk it up yet. I mean, I'm just not ready to. And it's complicated. We can't all just pick up and just go.
No. And I couldn't, because I have parents here who are elderly.
Yeah, I mean, me too. And we would all go. There's no way I would go. And I don't have children, but I was joking while I was over there, right? I kept saying, like, just send the cat, like, just send Rafi, send him over. We're not coming back, because every day, like you said, while I was gone, it was like one thing after the other. I'm like, are we kidding here? Rush Limbaugh, it'll be a good transition, but Rush Limbaugh used to joke that anytime he went on vacation, like, some kind of big shit would happen. And I was like, every time I leave the country, some kind of something happens. And I'm like, good God. But it is interesting to watch the reaction in another country, on another continent, particularly. I mean, last time I was in North Africa, little different dynamic. This time being in Europe, especially Italy, with the history of Italy and fascism.
Very complicated.
And what's happening now with the government there, the surveillance state. I mean, some of that surveillance out there, Meloni is, she's nuts. And the kind of MAGA
fascist.
Yes. And the MAGA equivalent over there is the 5-Star Party. And they've been rising for the last 10, 11 years because of the immigration stuff. And I was telling my husband when we were driving, because we basically like drove all around Sicily, because, like I said, our friends, they have different properties and different things. So we were able to kind of like do a little bit of a circumnavigation around most of Sicily this trip. And it was interesting during some of our drives. I was like, I think back now, because I would listen to Italian news. And I don't speak fluently, but it's good practice for me. Like, so I try to, like, I listen to Italian stuff so I can see if I can interpret what's happening. And I was saying to him, I'm like, looking back now at all the reporting that we saw online and all that about the immigration problem in Europe and what led up to Brexit and all of that, in hindsight, I wonder how much of that was Russian propaganda.
You
know what I mean?
You have come to the right.
Been doing this whole thing with Olga, right? About this.
Yep.
And how it's a miracle that we even won in 2020.
Right.
Let me tell you,
led to the rise of this fascist movement again in Sicily, and in Italy, and I'm like, holy shit, this is all part of a global plan. It's like, we were in
listen, the minute Charlie Kirk was, before he was even pronounced dead, I mean, immediately you had Elon Musk, who there's questions about what his motivations are, which whatever, saying this is the Democrats are murderers or whatever he said. But then I go on Twitter and I tweet like, hey, we don't even know who this killer is yet. He hasn't been caught. So let's tamp down the temperature and MAGA Republicans, just for a change, like don't rush, like just wait. And as it turns out, I don't know, but what's fascinating is the media, and I have a whole thing coming out on this tomorrow, but the corporate media is staffed by a bunch of Gen Xers or older millennials like us, or even older boomers, and none of us are versed in games and in video games. And so immediately you see this thing that says that he's anti-fascist stuff and this Italian anti-fascist song, and they come to all announce that, oh, obviously he's Antifa.
Right. The whole Bella Ciao thing, right? The Bella Ciao.
That he actually, and we don't know for sure, but it was more likely a follower, a Groyper. He's more a follower of Nick Fuentes. And that's mostly
liberalism.
That's he thought Charlie Kirk was too liberal.
Right.
Yeah. He was too moderate.
Too moderate.
And the beef had been going on for years, by the way.
Yeah.
It's still going on. And here's the thing about
they would crash the Groypers and Nick Fuentes, and then would crash the CPAC and Turning Point
USA. Yes.
I open up the New York today, and which I read purely for page 6 gossip, but I'm scrolling. And of course, their editorial is Democrats need to turn down the rhetoric because of this anti-fascist. Like, the narrative has been established. And the thing is, it doesn't matter if there's a video of this guy looking straight to camera and saying, I am a follower of Nick Fuentes and I killed Charlie Kirk because I think he's too moderate and Donald Trump forever. It doesn't matter, because MAGA, with the assistance of Russian and Chinese bots, which are 1,000%, I could spot them from a mile away. So on Twitter, like, I actually tweeted it out. I was like, okay, I could see that there was like Russian bots in my mentions calling me the C word all the time and telling me that there's too late for, to ask for peace. Like, that's it, we're going to war and you're next, bitch, and all this other stuff.
Yeah, crazy.
At that point, I realized that the Russian bots are out in full force to sow division, but more relevantly and equally scary is the fact that there is a whole media ecosystem from the New York Times to the Wall Street Journal. I'm talking about newspapers that are not necessarily MAGA, right? To CNN, to all this corporate media that shoots first. I hate to use that expression in this week, but that's the only way. And asks questions later. Yeah. This guy is not Antifa, but the narrative has been set. And by the time the truth comes out, the narrative will have been congealed.
I said this immediately because, as Julie and I know, as political communications professionals from day one, you always you set the narrative first, because if you're on defense, Democrats, if you're on defense, you're losing, right? Because then you have to explain, you have to get past the first impressions matter. So that's why there's always a race to define the issue first. Well, when this happened while on our last night in Sicily, and I saw Michelle called me, but it wasn't until an hour or so later, because we were in the mountains. But I guess Starlink hasn't reached that part of Sicily yet. But and I was like, but I saw online, and I went, oh my God, what was happening? And then I saw and it was kind of overnight, because I really didn't sleep much because we had to catch an early flight. So I only slept for a couple hours. And so by that time, it was I don't know, midnight your time. So I caught up and I saw Donald Trump's statement, and I said, wait, what the fuck? I said, hold on. They haven't even they didn't catch the shooter. And this is what they're saying. Yeah. And you've got Nancy Mace and these Democrats out here, and Elon Musk tweeting about Republicans claiming that Democrats are murderers that. I said, whoa, I know exactly what's going on here. They're doing this because they control the investigative process. They control the law enforcement folks. They control the Department of Justice, the FBI, all the normal pipelines of reliable information in the past to tell the American people honestly what was going on. They're all controlled by MAGA now. So they can say whatever they want, set whatever they want. There's not no way, but it's more difficult to find out what the actual truth is unless there are patriots inside these organizations that leak to journalists that are willing to report it, which we see. There's a whole resistance in independent media, thank God. And I said, I bet you we're going to find out that whoever did this is not a lefty, because it doesn't fit the lefty profile. I'm like, I said, and when I saw the press conference, I was on the flight coming back. So I had access to CNN International. So I'm watching that press conference with the feds in Utah. And I'm like, we've seen a million of these, unfortunately, and we know how it usually goes. And from a law enforcement perspective, I'm like, if you're on a manhunt, they haven't caught the guy. If you have a video of him with a clear, with his face, why would you not release that? Like, why? That was a red flag for me. Because I'm like, why are you holding out on a massive manhunt to get it out to the people to find this guy? Why would you hold that? And you could just tell by the agents that they were hedging their words, that it was completely bad instruction not to say certain things, and it was not the normal course of how an investigation goes, especially for a manhunt. And I said, I'm telling you, they don't want this kid identified before they set the narrative, because we're going to find out that he's not some left-wing nut. He's a right-wing nut. And then that destroys their narrative to try to go after anyone who's not. And that's exactly what's happening.
And like, we can't, like, the left can't simultaneously be a bunch of like do nothing pansies who hate guns and also Rambo. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they try to make us out to be everything. And the problem is too, is, they set the narrative first, but like someone has literally just been brutally assassinated on camera. And again, like, we're not monsters. So like the immediate thing, we're not going to be like, you did it. You know what I mean? Like, that's because that's crazy.
Right.
And the thing is too, I think it was like 9:30 the night before they caught the guy. They didn't catch him. They turned him in.
Right. His family turned him in because the father saw the photo. So the video. Right. So imagine they could have caught him. They would have had him hours earlier if they had released the video as soon as they had it.
It saved a tremendous amount of money.
Yes.
And agony and stress for people who are worried that there is a killer running amok.
Yes.
Yes. And the 9:30 press conference the night before, they were waiting until Kash Patel and Dan Bing Bong had flown into Utah. Okay. They were like, okay, we got to wait for them to get here, and then we're going to do this thing. So they have the investigators on the ground, like, basically run the press conference, and Kash Patel and Dan Bing Bong are standing in the back. Didn't say a word. They look like deer in headlights. I'm telling you, like, beyond just like the anti-American, anti-Democrat agenda that they have, right, is that they are in over their heads. They do not know what they are doing. It's like they're all playing dress up. They're all cosplaying FBI agents, and we are not safe. And now I want to throw up a couple things here. My eyesight, I don't know what they are. But here's one. Okay. Yep. That was him standing behind the press conference again, silent,
looking like a post stander.
Yeah. But like,
by the way, Max Burns, who I think is wonderful, it's not midnight in his career. He's doing exactly what Donald Trump wants. He'll be there for as long as, he's not going anywhere.
Right. And meanwhile, there are some, well, first of all, the Glenn Thrush had reported this at the New York Times. This was all happening at the same time. And because of the Charlie Kirk, shooter thing, all of this kind of got lost. Kash Patel slammed agents on Kirk case in a profanity-laced video call, accusing them of keeping info from him. It came a day after he wrongly claimed the shooter was caught via tweet written without telling staff, raising new doubts about his leadership. So when all of this was going on, in like literally the minutes and hours after this occurred, the assassination itself, Kash Patel, because he's a fool, was tweeting, "Oh, we got him. We don't got him." Like, first of all, you don't do that. You don't do that.
It's worse, Michelle. Do you know where he was when he was tweeting that? The time of the story
was he
overnight.
in Vegas?
No. He was at Rayo's.
Wait, where?
Rayo's.
On 125th Street?
Yep. Rayo's is an impossibly hard to get into restaurant.
You can't, like, unless you know somebody who owns a table.
Yeah. So
Jesus Christ.
Possibly, it's the hardest table in New York.
I did not know this.
And he was at Rayo's, And Rayo's opens at 7 p.m. He tweeted out,
no,
I think right before and then again right after. So he's sitting at Rayo's having dinner, eating, red sauce, Italian, speaking of Italy.
Yeah.
And tweeting the shit out.
Stop.
He's not at FBI headquarters. He's not in whatever situation room they might have. He's literally Rayo's in New York City.
And
why? Because you know why? Because that was his opportunity to go to Rayo's, and he was not
exactly. He somebody invited him, hey, come sit at my table or whatever, and he's like, I gotta go because again, this is just it's not about serving the country. No, it's not about being the actual director of the FBI.
It was probably Bodito who has
and so this also not just in this a couple days ago, a few weeks ago, FBI Director Kash Patel fired the special agent in charge of the FBI Utah field office. She had 20 years experience in counterintelligence and counterterrorism. Now, I say all that to say, I'm going to pull up some articles from the last several years. DHS draft document, white supremacists are the greatest terror threat to the United States.
Since 2009.
Since 2009. Top law enforcement officials.
And why in 2009? Whoa, let's stop and why 2009? Because a black man was
after Barack Obama. And as someone who was part of the right wing at the time, the Republicans made a big deal about that DHS report, saying that it was an attack on conservatives and an attack on gun owners, and that it was these liberal left-wing extremists that had an agenda to keep the conservatives down and to put a target on their backs at the time. And there was so much political pressure led by the Rush Limbaughs and Glenn Becks and stuff of the world that they actually they had to retract the report, and they kind of buried it. And Janet Napolitano was the DHS secretary at the time, and I always remembered that because I was in a different headspace then. And I've gone back to that report since, and it was spot on.
Of course.
And I'm sorry, just to interrupt. It wasn't just Rush Limbaugh, and it wasn't just Fox News. I do want to come back to this notion of Russian bots because I just did a very, 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 very long column on this with Olga Lautman, specifically on the Russian troll farm. And we mentioned this. So if you want to read about it, go to my Substack.
Even back in 2009.
Yes, it was published.
People think it was with the Mueller report, which really illuminated.
No. You guys, they
started way before that.
They have a playbook, and it's not a complicated playbook. They want to start a race war in the United States. Russian bots are committed to do it. Mission accomplished.
Right, mission accomplished.
But with the election of Barack Obama, it was so easy for them to stir up all of these crazy right-wingers to lead to violence. So if you want to know why 2009, a lot of it was homegrown, a lot of it was really helped along by people who are foreign adversaries and want to see this country collapse. Why? Because while we're fighting a race war, they're taking over Poland. They're taking over Ukraine. They're taking over that's why.
And this article is from 2021, obviously long after 2001, but top law enforcement officials say the biggest domestic threat comes from white supremacists. Here's another one. Far-right violence, a growing threat, and law enforcement's top domestic terrorism concern. That's from 2023. This is from 2020 from CNN. White supremacists remain deadliest U.S. terror threat. Homeland Security report says. And here's who we have running the FBI.
Yeah, a patsy and a podcaster. That's a great recipe.
Right. And
they've gutted these departments. They gutted the counterterrorism department of the FBI. They've gutted these in DOJ. So it's not only do you have incompetents that are running the place, they're actively gutting and removing the corrupt people who actually do this. We are less safe today than we were on January 19th.
Yeah. And
less safe.
And I want to I'm throwing this up here. This is from September 10th, from Anna Bauer. In a suit filed earlier today, again, because of everything that happened, this got lost. By 3 fired FBI officials, Patel and Bongino are being portrayed as being so obsessed with social media that it could risk outweighing more deliberate analysis of investigations. And further in here, I don't know if it's this tweet, but there's another one that said that Dan Bongino was so stressed out about it, and the feedback he was getting via social, that it, quote, looked like the guy hadn't slept in 3 days. These people, similarly to Donald Trump, only care about them, how they look, their bottom line, because Dan Bing Bong is going to be out of the FBI soon, whether he gets removed or he removes himself. And he's going to have to go back and deal with his people, with the Epstein files, because again, these people ran on this. The people want it, and he's the one who has them in his hands. And you know,
and he was enriched. He was enriched.
Yes, millions upon millions of dollars.
Both of them. Both of them. Cash Patel also. Cash Patel is the guy that was a total loser in high school, who never sit with the cool kids because he was a weird wacko loser. And so he got he went to school, became a lawyer, got involved in some of these little law enforcement things so he could be cool. Because of his behavior and the way he acted, he got reprimanded and wasn't well liked. And then he got hired. He went off and got hired by some right wingers, and they elevated him because he was willing to do and say what they wanted, and he's a brown person. And so they're like, oh yeah, anytime you're an ethnic, that then gives them cover.
Right.
And so, and they're like, he's like a white person's pacifier. He's like, oh, you're a race pacifier. We'll take
he's like, I'm not racist. Look,
right. I got one of them. Yeah, right. I can't. And and now this guy has power, right? That he could never imagine. And it's like, he doesn't know what to do. Even in his disposition, he looks like, I can't believe I'm here. This was like a fantasy I was having in my room at night. Right. And now I'm actually like the boss. And there's like bad things happening. I can't just say that I can't write children's books and write cash with a $sign and go and rant podcasts about shit and like produce the January 6th choir and all this other bullshit that Cash Patel, but Rafi is more qualified to run the FBI than Cash Patel or Dan Bongino. We'd be safer. We'd be safer if Rafi was in charge and you let the career agents run the place.
I guess who else is in charge? I think you were about to throw this up, Michelle, because this is going to blow people's mind.
Oh God, yes. The landscaper.
Well, yeah. And hold on. And I have another thing about the Cash Patel's challenge coin, which I'll get to.
Oh my God. They made a challenge coin for him?
Yes. So just really quick. So, okay. To remind everyone, this was a report from ProPublica. So if you don't already read ProPublica, they are a non-corporate group of journalists who are doing amazing work. And if you can throw them a couple bucks, please do. The intern,
best investigative,
the best of the best.
I believe.
Yeah. The intern in charge. Meet the 22-year-old Trump's team picked to lead terrorism prevention. 1 year out of college with no apparent national security expertise, Thomas Fugate is the Department of Homeland Security official tasked with overseeing the government's main hub for combating extremism. And let's see, that's his picture.
He was a store clerk. I just want to be very clear of who he was. Okay.
Yep.
This guy was a, let me just pull this up because I actually have this. 1 second. Was a, he was a checkout clerk at the HEB grocery stores, which I don't really know.
They're in like Texas and down south. I didn't know any unless, but I spent a lot of time in Texas.
Yeah. So that's what he was, according to his LinkedIn profile, before he got elevated to this. A checkout. The guys that check you out at this grocery store. By the way, I'm not demeaning what they do. I'm not qualified to have this job.
No,
they're not qualified to have this job either, and he's not qualified. He's 20.
There's career law enforcement people who aren't qualified to have this job. And again, like, he was a MAGA youth person, part of the youth MAGA movement, who was a sycophant to Donald Trump and was all up his ass. And like, that's why this happened. And and here's the last part here, is the office's mission has changed overnight. So since this 22-year-old took over, the terrorism prevention office has changed, with a pivot away from focusing on domestic extremism, especially far-right movements. The terrorism category that framed the agency's work for years was abruptly expanded to include drug cartels, part of what the DHS staffers call an overarching message that border security is the only mission that matters. Meanwhile, the Trump administration has largely left terrorism prevention to the states.
The states are not qualified. The states are not qualified. The states, because what's so stupid about this is that states are adjacent to one another.
Yeah.
So if you have a terrorist threat in New York, it also impacts New Jersey. It also impacts Connecticut. And if you have one in Connecticut, then it impacts Rhode Island, it impacts Massachusetts, in turn that impacts Vermont, and so on and so forth. Yeah. I don't need to go through the geography of the United States other than to say that that's why we have federal law enforcement, because these are not threats that are contained to just individual states, which is why when this guy killed Charlie Kirk in Utah, I'm sure that manhunt did not just get confined to the state of Utah.
Right.
That's what happened to find him, but he could have easily gone to Colorado. He could have easily gone to New York. He could have easily gone to Mexico. We don't know.
Right. In 30 hours. I mean, they had the surveillance tape pretty early on in this manhunt. And they chose not to release the picture of him because they wanted to set the narrative, as we said earlier.
Yeah.
And good thing he was, young and went back home, as opposed to maybe somebody more well-trained and he could have disappeared and we would never see him again in that amount of time. 30 hours is a very, very long time.
Well, right. And when they announced that they got him, Kash Patel goes up to the thing and he's like, "This is what happens when you let good cops do their jobs." I'm like, y'all didn't do shit.
Yeah, they had nothing to do with it.
You released his photo, which you were supposed to do, but probably not when you should have.
Right.
And the kid's dad and the pastor or whatever turned him in.
That's right.
That is what happened here. And because I think for the most part, listen, I'm sure that the people on the ground, like the career people, like were doing what they needed to do, right? But again, this comes from the top down. And like there's a complete lack of leadership and professionalism and competency and qualification. And so with that, I will throw this up. This is from Michael Weiss, who is a journalist. This is Kash Patel's challenge coin. I remain unbaffled by anything he says or does.
What is a challenge coin?
Okay, I'll explain this as the law enforcement person.
Yes, please do.
The family person here. So challenge coins of military and law enforcement, it's like a commemorative kind of token that they exchange with one another as like a symbol of like camaraderie and respect. And so I forget why they call them challenge coins right now, but I can Google it real fast. But I can tell you my husband has dozens upon dozens of challenge coins from his 25 plus years in law enforcement and all of the different agencies and departments, and both international and nationally, where they exchanged challenge coins. I have like 2 custom made beautiful wooden holders and a shadow box for all of his challenge coins. And so anyone in the military or law enforcement understands like it's like a sign of like respect.
Yeah, I just Googled it and it looks like there's a long history of these throughout the military.
Right. So the fact that this guy is so, again, his little junior G-man badge, and now he's got his own little coin.
And with the S, with the $,
and with the "don't tread on me" freaking thing on there. And like, this is just so unserious and this is not the behavior of a mature, well-adjusted adult who has the keys to the kingdom of the most powerful law enforcement agency in the world. What are we doing here? And the fact that, and here's the other part, I expect this from jerk-offs like this guy. We should expect that. It's the people who know better that enable it, that are okay with this. Could you imagine if a Democratic appointed FBI director behaved the
Oh
way
my God.
Patel did, what Republicans would be doing, and they'd be 100% justified.
Yeah.
And let me just say this. And let me just say this. For all the people who say we need guns because that's the only way to prevent these kinds of situations. Charlie Kirk had security with him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what kind of security he had, but I assume it was pretty good security because I'm positive that Charlie Kirk got death threats.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
All the time.
And yeah, Utah is an open carry state.
Mm-hmm.
It's such an open carry state that federal state law preempts any city bans. So if Salt Lake City, I think, wanted to ban open carry, I don't think they could. If you have a gun permit,
you're allowed on campuses. It's like one of the only 2 states.
Yeah, he could have, like, the shooter could have been just walking through the crowd with a semi-automatic weapon, and it would have been completely legal.
So I just want to say that this notion of, oh, if only we had people with guns, I am positive that there were a lot of people with guns near Charlie.
Yeah.
And the reality is you can't stop this because this guy was an incredible shooter. He was a sharpshooter, clearly.
Yeah.
I mean, that was
shooting guns since he was a child.
Yeah. And, again, as a mother, I just keep going back to this. What kind of country are we raising our children in?
I know.
Where everybody's armed to the teeth, including 22-year-olds who have had guns for so long that at 22, without military training or law enforcement training, they're able to take these kinds of effective headshots. I mean,
one shot to the neck.
Yeah.
That was it.
It's crazy.
But if you've been shooting guns since you were like, he was like a Boy Scout or something, right?
Yeah,
and you're a hunter from the time you're like 6 and you're just fine. I mean, listen, in most cases, it's okay. People aren't nuts and they're not going to do this. You go hunting with your dad, you live in Idaho or wherever you do.
Yeah.
That's what you do. I mean, I didn't grow up like that, but plenty of people do.
Yeah.
But, but we have a problem in this country, no doubt about it. And
I mean, the fact that people thought that this was like a legit sniper from like the US because they were impressed that somebody could one shot. That was it.
Yep.
And he got up and ran away.
It's not an easy shot.
And I just want to throw this up too. This is from Laura Loomer. Now, I think that since then she has taken this down. Now, I implore everyone, there's an episode of the New York Times Daily podcast. I think you have to subscribe on podcast. So just go to YouTube and listen to this. And it gives some background, some context as to who Laura Loomer is and how her entire life's mission, literally her entire life, revolves around Donald Trump and seeking out people who she thinks that are not loyal enough to him, members of Congress. That everyone is terrified of her. She has been in the room with Donald Trump and talked him into firing career national security advisors. I mean, it's crazy.
By the way, 9/11 denier, crazy.
Lunatic.
Yeah.
MAGA Republicans don't want to be around her. She's that crazy.
Correct.
I don't know what her relationship is with Trump.
Have my
questions.
It's very strange.
But this wackadoodle just has access to the president of the United States and is able to say, hey, I want to fire Tara, or I want to keep Michelle, or I want to, promote Julie. Like, it's crazy. And he does it.
And he'll do it because, again, Donald Trump only cares about him. And he's like, well, Laura Loomer is somebody who does my dirty work for me. It's very mob-like. And so he just, he takes what she gives him and does it because he doesn't want to lose that asset. Mm-hmm. And so she had posted this, I believe, like within the last couple weeks. And I'll just read some of it because it's long. I don't want to read the whole thing, but I don't ever want to hear Charlie Kirk claim he is pro-Trump ever again. After this weekend, I'd say he has revealed himself as political opportunist, and I have had a front row seat to witness the mental gymnastics these last 10 years. Lately, Charlie has decided to behave like a charlatan, claiming to be pro-Trump one day while he stabs Trump in the back the next. TPUSA was only able to thrive thanks to the generosity of President Trump. She goes on. Let me go down. 3 weeks ago, Dave Smith called for President Trump to be impeached and removed from the office over this decision to blow up Iran's nuclear facilities. Charlie played both sides of the Iran issue on his show, as we all saw, because he wants to play both sides of the aisle. Now, I say all this to say, you know, because of my previous job at my previous place of employment, I have watched hours upon hours upon hours of like crazy people on the right, deep in the, you know, depths of 4chan. I've seen all this stuff. You learn to compartmentalize this stuff, right? When you're ingesting it. But I do watch a lot of Nick Fuentes. Now, I don't normally go to his Rumble and watch stuff. I watch stuff curated from other places. I spent 3 hours on Nick Fuentes's Rumble last night. Let me tell you. The American public has absolutely no idea how bad this is. And I would take a gander that MAGA doesn't know how bad this is. The thing to understand about Nick Fuentes and the Groyper community, and the Groyper is his little followers, okay? And now this all kind of originates in gamer world, which is like video games. And I know it's like a lot, it's over all of our heads, but they have like little languages and things that they say to each other. It's crazy.
That's where the Discord, right? Discord is like another chat thing. Yep. That's where a lot of the gamers are. The guy that the Teixeira kid that took the national secrets and posted them on Discord. Remember, the National Guards went in like Massachusetts, whatever. That's where he was like, "See, I got them." Like Discord, like the little another one of those kind of
like a messagey board kind of thing, and they all, you know, same with like with 4chan, right? It's all very similar. So these young men go into this gamer community, right? And they eventually shut themselves off from the rest of the world. They become one with this community. It's a sense of belonging. And the things that Nick Fuentes says, okay, first of all, Nick Fuentes hates women. He hates Jews. He really hates Jews. And so he has a huge,
I'm like his, you know, dream girl.
Oh, right. I mean, he hates Black people. I mean, just anybody who's not, you know, they're all incels, right? And which is voluntary and celibate.
Wait. I'm sorry. Can I actually tell you a couple of quotes that Nick Fuentes has said? Because you have to hear it. Quote, "Having sex with women is gay."
Is gay. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The only
it's gay to have sex with your wife, guys.
Only really straight heterosexual position is to be an asexual incel. That's it. That's all there is. The straightest thing you can do is to never have sex. And also, if you seek sex, you will become gay because sex is a gay act.
Yep.
This is not a well man.
No.
Well, this is significant, Julie. I'm glad you read that quote because it goes directly to what Michelle's talking about with the shooter and explaining the Groypers, because the information coming out about what was inscribed on the bullet casings it is right in line with the Groyper shit from Nick Fuentes, which is not left wing. I will say.
Oh,
the only thing about so this is maybe we can do it just a whole show, but I just do want to give a little bit of explanation to people as they go into their weekends when you're having conversations about this stuff. So Nick Fuentes is obviously very anti-Israel, which I would say a lot of his talking points sound very similar to what's happening on the far left in terms of Gaza and things like that. Okay. Now, my fear sometimes with that horseshoe is that some people on the far, far, far left are going to reach over the back of that horseshoe and grab onto this, because a lot of the things that Nick Fuentes is saying resonate with people, because I mean, that stuff's crazy. It's gay to have sex with, I mean, that's just nuts. I mean, he said something also that was like, it's gay to want cuddles. And I'm like, you are so broken. But he talks about Charlie Kirk and Tucker Carlson and this whole political industrial complex that exists within MAGA, where they all are grifters and they want to get rich. Well, and he's like, it's not wrong. Well, this is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So Nick Fuentes is like, you've seen my house. I'm from a working class neighborhood outside Chicago. I'm not rich. I don't go on vacation. If anything, I fly to Rhode Island to go on the beach or whatever. And he's like, these people are cons. They're conning you. Lately, he's been going after Donald Trump, saying they're all lying to us about his health. He's been going off about all of it, saying that the entire thing is a con, and like they're all, and he thinks, you know, Jews control everything and all of this is Jewish, and they're anti-tech. And not because necessarily it's surveillance state web. It's because tech has a lot of operations in Israel, and because there's Jewish people who run these companies or they're aligned with Jewish people. He's saying a lot of things that I think this kind of working class white, male talking points, right? But he's coming at it from a different angle. And they look at MAGA as, how do I say, they're all shysters. Like, that's what he thinks, because they're not true conservatives. He is. They're not people of God and Christians. They are, because they have an ultimate goal of like a white America, and like feminism is terrible. Now, if you remember, right after the election, he was going on camera saying, "Your body, my choice." Your body. And he has said on, I mean, we have that Christian nationalism video. He said women want to be raped. I mean, this man is hateful.
Oh, and by the way, he had lunch or dinner with Trump at Mar-a-Lago with Kanye West. Kanye West decided that he wanted to worship Hitler, that Hitler was good. Then him and Nick Fuentes are buddies, and Donald Trump had lunch with them. Can you imagine?
And I think it's important, again, to underscore that everything that's coming out about this killer, now we don't know, but everything that's coming out about this killer points to the fact that he's a Fuentes guy.
Yep.
The problem is, again, that you have reporters covering this stuff who don't understand this. And this is why I know it sounds self-serving, and I sincerely am not saying this because it's self-serving. I'm so over corporate media. I cannot begin to tell you. MSNBC, in the wake of firing Matthew Dowd, who, I don't care what you think about Matthew Dowd personally, did not say anything controversial. Nothing controversial. Puts out
question. I mean, the question Katie Tur posed him, he answered it, and answered it pretty graciously, as far as I'm concerned, given what we all know and who Charlie Kirk actually was and the things he actually said. That, nobody's saying that he deserved to get shot. Of course, nobody's saying that.
No, of course not. Yeah.
At the same time, we're not going to fucking lionize and martyr some guy who believed vile things about women and people of color and culture in this country. No, I'm sorry. The guy was not Martin Luther King.
Okay.
And wait a second. Sponsored Kyle Rittenhouse's college tour. Like these are the people that he was propping up, because this is how Charlie Kirk saw the world. So anyway, sorry, Julie. Keep going.
And this is important, because this is from the New York Post, who got, again, the source is the source, but they got a memo that Comcast's top brass put out. Comcast CEO Brian Roberts, Comcast President Mike Kavanaugh, and Mike Lazarus, the CEO of Versant, which is a spinoff company that is now MSNBC. They circulated it to all Comcast and MSNBC Universal staff on Friday. And this is what it says. You may have seen that MSNBC recently ended its association with a contributor who made an unacceptable and insensitive comment about this horrific event. The coverage was at odds with fostering civil dialogue and being willing to listen to the points of view of those who have differing opinions. We should be able to disagree robustly and passionately, but ultimately with respect. We need to do better. Now, let me just say this, as somebody who spent a decade at Fox News. Jesse Waters, who is the 8 p.m. host of Fox, who has about 3 million viewers a night, went on his show before we knew who the killer was and said, they are at war with us, and you better fucking believe, sorry, Dad, that the person that they were at war with is certainly not Nick Fuentes, it's us. It's us, right? They start this. Donald Trump goes out before he knows who the killer is and effectively says, this was the reason.
I have the clip. You want to see it?
Yeah, play it, because it's important to what I'm saying.
We have radicals on the left. People are watching all of these videos and cheering. Some people are cheering that Charlie was killed. How do we fix this country? How do we come back together?
I'll tell you something that's going to get me in trouble, but I couldn't care less. The radicals on the right oftentimes are radical because they don't want to see crime. They don't want to see crime.
Worried about the border.
They're saying, we don't want these people coming in. We don't want you burning our shopping centers. We don't want you shooting our people in the middle of the street. The radicals on the left are the problem. And they're vicious, and they're horrible, and they're politically savvy. Although they want men and women sports, they want transgender for everyone, they want open borders. The worst thing that
So I want to just be clear about something. It's actually what he said on Fox is disgusting, but what he said the night, or in his Truth Social, by the way, he did the Oval Office address. He did it on Truth Social so you could monetize, right? Like the scam is so apparent that it's crazy.
Yep.
He puts out on Truth Social that this is, of course, all the fault of the radical left, and this is political violence. And what's going to happen is that we need to go after the people who promote this kind of behavior, and we're going to go after the people who fund them. Translation: if you say anything that Donald Trump does not like, you are inciting political violence, and therefore you need to get arrested, or you need to get fined, or whatever crime.
Well, if you're at war with someone, that means that they can kill you, however you.
So everybody here who's on this chat, and all of us who are speaking right now, according to Donald Trump, are fomenting political violence. I have never in my life called for violence against anybody, but it doesn't matter, because if I disagree with Donald Trump, I am motivating somebody to go kill Donald Trump or people close to him in his warped mind, which is insane. Because again, the last time I checked, the last political violence towards a Republican that I remember was a Bernie Sanders supporter going after Steve Scalise, when? A decade ago? But what's happening now is by putting out that memo from Comcast and Versant, MSNBC, the corporate overlords, have effectively shut down any kind of speech having to do with being critical of Charlie Kirk, who, by the way, there's a lot to be critical about. You don't have to condone his death. It was awful. It was horrible. He did not deserve to have that happen. But he also espoused some pretty gross ideas. And I think it's important to not,
whitewash it. I'm like, what are you people doing? Donald Trump said we should all challenge ourselves to follow in the footsteps of and beliefs of Charlie Kirk, who was a great American patriot, and we should all be more like him. And the American media is not going to sit there and say, well, which viewpoints is the president referring to? That women under 30 are no longer sexually attractive, or women shouldn't, be on birth control because when they do, they become less attractive, or that, you should question anytime you see a black pilot, that's doing a tough job, and worry about whether they're competent in their, in their jobs. Like, saying like, oh, we should bail out Paul Pelosi's attacker because that guy, or a guy who elevates Kyle Rittenhouse. I mean, like,
they don't apologize. They don't apologize. That's the part that kills me. This is what's happening with corporate media, right? I was supposed to be at MSNBC 2 days in a row as soon as Kirk's death, right? I was supposed to be in Katie Tour's show, and I was supposed to be on a different show. I can't remember which one. Anna Cabrera, I think. Canceled. Now it happens all the
first show that Matt Dowd got fired for the comments, right?
Now, listen. It happens all the time. I'm not suggesting there's anything nefarious about it, but I don't know if they just don't want people like me and Tara going on and basically saying, listen, he was a complicated guy. He does not deserve to die, but he was a complicated guy.
He didn't deserve to die, and he doesn't deserve to lie in state or have a statue or anything fucking named after him. That's not in MAGA world.
His funeral is going to be like Fred Waterford meets Abraham Lincoln. I'm serious. It's going to be a major event.
Flying his body on Air Force Two.
I know, with the United States military.
CNN, I'm sorry, but CNN had not gavelled. It was casket to casket coverage. Here's the casket being loaded into Air Force Two. Here's Air Force Two landing. Here's J.D. Vance and Usha Vance coming down, holding the widow's hand. Here's the casket being loaded into the hearse. Here's the hearse arriving at wherever it arrived. And I'm sitting there and I'm watching this and I'm thinking, I can't. So my husband is an addict when it comes to cable news. I can't stand it. So he's watching this. Then I said, flip over to MSNBC. I want to see what's happening there. Same thing.
Same.
He flips over to Fox to drive me crazy effectively. And Fox, of course, is not doing hearse to hearse coverage. They're just going straight on blaming Democrats for the death of Charlie Kirk nonstop, all, setting the narrative. And I'm thinking, it's basically all the same. It's basically all the same.
Yes.
And nobody's has the guts. Acosta would have done it if he were still at MS.
Oh, yeah.
But nobody has.
Yesterday.
Nobody has the guts to say, hey, as long as we're on the subject of Charlie Kirk, let's talk about Charlie Kirk's incredible influence. He built an amazing empire that is the envy of all Democratic organizers. He was insanely good at it.
Yep.
We can say all of that. We could give him credit for all of that. To his credit, he would debate people who disagreed with him. I think that's all to the good. Having said that, he also held views that a lot of people find incredibly hateful. a lot of what Tara said. The fact that he said he went to college and spoke to a bunch of girls who are young women who were in college, and said to them, how many here are here to find a husband? And they raised their hands, and he said, good, because you should get your MRS degrees. That is what's important. You need to get your MRS degree. Don't, you're here to find a husband. That's why you're here, because once you're out of here, it's going to be much harder for you to find a husband. Now, I did not find a husband in college. I did not find a husband in graduate school. I did not find a husband when I applied to get a PhD, which I never actually did. It took me decades to find a husband. You know why? Because I wasn't looking. I was looking to my education. I was looking to my career. And I find that kind of language distasteful and offensive. And I don't think it's particularly controversial to say that. But you did not hear that on corporate media at all, which is why I'm telling you guys right now, that is why we're launching May Day very soon, for that reason. Because we're in a May Day crisis. Michelle came up with that name, and there's a reason why she did. It came to you, Michelle, I don't want to speak for you, but it came to you like, in a dream practically, because you're like, May Day, we need help.
Yes, we are. America is in distress.
We're in distress. And nobody is delivering that help. And I'm sorry, if nobody's doing it, the three of us are going to do it.
Yep. There's a handful of us out there trying to do it, but it's got to start somewhere, It's got to start somewhere. Because even now, MSNBC, who, has new leadership over there, which I will refrain from getting into, but they're not going to be the saviors either. I mean, Morning Joe Scarborough still out here telling mayors of Democratic cities that are being militarized by Trump, being invaded by Donald Trump. Oh, maybe you guys should work with him. Yeah. Maybe there is some. Fuck off. Okay, are you still on your knees?
Right.
Yes. Because Mika, while you were gone, Mika admitted that they're still in touch with Trump.
Oh my God, that's right. I think you did.
And you guys, here's the part that's really awful, right? For anybody here who watches MSNBC. The part that's really awful is that Larry Ellison and his son, who have now acquired CBS and have put a MAGA guy in charge of standards and are about to have Barry Weiss.
Oh my God. Wait a minute. Larry Ellison, who's now the
richest man in the world.
They
acquired.
His
son owns Skydance. They acquired CBS. They're about to put Barry Weiss in charge of CBS. I know people at 60 Minutes who are pretty high up there. I haven't spoken to them. I cry for them.
Yeah,
that's CBS. But wait a second. They're now making a bid for Warner Brothers Discovery. That it sounds like David Zaslav, who owns Warner Brothers Discovery, is interested in entertaining, and they'll get approval from the FCC because
you're MAGA guys.
CNN, who's owned by Warner Brothers Discovery, will now also come under this umbrella, which means that Barry Weiss is going to be in charge of CNN, which means that they're going to put some MAGA guy in charge of standards at CNN. So now you're going to have the following. If this goes through, you're going to have CBS, the home of Edward R. Murrow, become a MAGA outlet. And again, I don't know what's going to happen to 60 Minutes, but you better bet that it's probably not going to be what it was.
Yeah, no.
CNN is going to go MAGA, or at least they're going to stop any dissent. You're going to have the Scott Jennings show 24/7. You're going to elevate people like that and de-escalate people like Tara and me. And then you're going to have MSNBC, which is the last bastion out there, quote unquote, that is now having the CEO of the parent company and the CEO of the other parent company telling them to effectively to tone it down. And they're saying that Democrats and liberals control the media?
Right. Not anymore.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Well, this is the thing that I was talking to Matt about this a couple weeks ago. And he's like, the big conspiracy is there is no liberal media. The big conspiracy is that mainstream media has always, will always protect Republicans and the right. That is the end, like full stop. And anybody who checks truth or checks facts is seen to be as lefty, because apparently truth means liberal. Truth means woke. And so, and it's seen as, I don't want there to be an overcorrect, I don't want to do that. So I'm going to overcorrect. And I'm going to give, to Julie's point, the earth is flat, the earth is round, an equal opportunity to argue their point. But facts are facts. Yep. And I just want to throw this up too, because this was the cover. September 11th was 2 days ago.
God.
This was the cover of the New York Post. Never forget. Look at that in the top right corner. That's what we think of that now. That's what we think of this. And meanwhile, this is the president of the United States at a September 11th ceremony at the Pentagon. What is going on with this man's health?
I saw this live. I was on the flight, right? And they were showing this coverage because I was en route as the 9/11 remembrances were happening.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw, and it was like the camera was on, I guess it's a pool feed. And I was like, oh my God, it was a 2-shot with him and him and what's her name in the one shot? Melania, yeah, her name, that one. And I was looking, she looked, of course, like, she didn't want to be there as usual. Yeah. And he was slack-jawed and falling asleep, like eyes were really open for a while. And the camera must have been, I'm like, I cannot believe they allowed that shot to stay up as long as it did.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, holy shit.
Before this happened, now C-SPAN had this feed, and I actually have the video somewhere, but I'll post it somewhere. They went into this like little area at the Pentagon, and they had, like a guest book, and they had Melania and Donald Trump both sign the guest book with a Sharpie, of course, because can't use a pen. And they did a close-up. The C-SPAN camera guy or girl did a close-up of his hand writing it, and all over his hand is like a big thing of makeup. Huge. And that's something that no one else really seemed to catch that day either. Again, I'm sure because there was just so much going on, but like all the makeup on his hand.
It's an IV, right? And it's consistent. Yeah. So it has to be like a daily infusion of something.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And like half of his face is drooped.
Yep.
Like, I'm sorry, but I'm not a doctor, but like, I know people who've had strokes, and that's what happens. What is going on with this man's face?
I can't. Well, that's why they rolled him out onto Fox and Friends yesterday morning. So that because there was, all the talk going on. So they wanted to, weekend at Bernie him and pop him up to make sure, see, he's fine. He just did it in person. He didn't call in. I'm sure he wasn't thrilled about having to go in and in the morning go do it.
I can speak to that. He hated going to that studio.
Of course, but they had to, because they said, sir, you look at what you look like. We got to show people that you're vibrant and strong. So anyway,
and
guys, I have to go because I have things. We have a celebration tonight.
Happy birthday, belatedly,
Happy
Tara.
birthday.
I was going to be with you in person.
I know. I'm missing that you guys were having an 80s party. So I'm going to be dressed up very 80s because it's the best decade, and it's, why not? And but I have to, I have some errands I have to run, but carry on if you'd like. This was one of my funny things. I'm embracing this turning 50 thing one way or another.
Come on over to the Saturday, Tara. Listen, I've been here for 2 years and it's great. It's fine. The 50s are a good decade so far.
Oh, well, yeah.
It's fine. It's good.
I know.
Nothing to worry about.
Still weird. I'm weirded out. Anyway, I love you guys. I will see you guys later, and I will make sure to post pictures. Wish you were here, and see you guys later.
Bye, Tara.
Bye, Tara. So you guys, just a couple of programming things. Michelle and I are doing these daily dispatches a lot on May Day. So please like and subscribe, because then you'll just get an alert about them. And we're having more and more people come every time, which is great, because we're trying to A, build up May Day, but B, trying to give you more content. I am very serious about the fact that I've been on the inside of corporate media for over 20 years now, 21 years. And I can tell you, I know how it works. It's the edict comes up from down high, comes down from on high, and you got to submit. And that's why Costa is such a hero for bailing on them. But I'm going to tell you that that's why we're doing so much more of these daily dispatches. Again, I did this not on May Day, but we'll eventually move this over to May Day, like when Russian drones were hitting Poland, and all CNN was talking about was Epstein, and there was no breaking news on Epstein. They just were talking about Epstein.
Talking about it. Like, yeah. Again, is like, and there, Michael Wolff this morning made a video about how everything in the Trump administration right now is a disaster. And he said it's like a pyramid scheme in the fact that there's one disaster, and then there's another disaster distract from that disaster, and then there's another, and like it just is like a circle of disasters trying to distract everyone from the next thing. And how we are all victims of this. The whole world is a victim of it, really. You know, and this is why, and I just want to bring it back to this Charlie Kirk and Nick Fuentes thing, because I am very, very, very frightened for the future of this country. I mean, I made this video. Now I can either just, you can go to my Instagram or I can play it now. I have it queued up. Okay. This is just so people know what they're about to look at. This is Nick Fuentes on his channel 18 days ago, talking about Charlie Kirk, their feud, and how Nick Fuentes is the rightful owner of the youth MAGA movement. I'm just going to play this.
This is the video. He quote tweets the video. He says, "Jew hate has no place in civil society. It rots the brain." Once again, if you feel so confident, then debate me. What's the excuse at this point? Well, I don't want to platform him. My show is bigger than your show. I'm a bigger live streamer than you. What's the argument? We don't want to give him any oxygen. My ideas are mainstream. Half your audience believes my ideas. What's the argument? The only reason that Charlie Kirk will debate every college kid, every leftist, every socialist, but not me, is because he'd lose. It's that simple. Who is the youth with? When you saw the Nelk stream with me versus Hassan, who is the audience with, me or him? The only reason, everyone knows, Charlie Kirk will not debate me because I would fucking devour him. I would eat him alive. And at the end of the day, that's going to happen one way or the other. Whether he chooses to confront me or not, whether he has dignity and honor or not, it's just a matter of time. My ideas are already there. I've already impregnated your organization. I took Turning Point USA and I fucked it. I took your organization, I took your baby, Turning Point USA, and I fucked it. And I've been fucking it. And that's why it's filled with groypers. That's why your whole crew, that's why the people around you, that's why your chapter presidents, that's why your attendees, they're all groypers. So whether you choose to confront me or not over the honor of your Turning Point USA, it's immaterial to me. I'd like it. I just get a sick satisfaction out of it. Because I like to win. But we're already there. And this whole ideology, Zionism plus free market, it's dead either way. You know it. I know it. Pretty much the whole world knows it's over. In the last 7 years, who's moved closer to who? Could anybody accuse me of stealing Charlie Kirk's ideas? No. Has Charlie Kirk every step of the way moved in degree closer to me? Tried to ape my bit, my ideas, my style? Oh, no question. No question. We already own you. We own you. We own Turning Point USA. We own this movement. Whether you decide to have dignity about it and face me or not, that's up to you. That's something you'll have to tell your children. When Nick Fuentes became the future, when the groypers took over the movement, did you take a valorant last stand? Were you courageous? Were you bold? Did you go down swinging or did you go down like a bitch? Did you run and hide? That's the only thing when you're explaining that to your family, Mr. Family Man. When you're explaining to your wife, when she's saying, why won't you just debate Nick Fuentes? And you got to explain to her. When your kids grow up, why didn't you just confront Nick Fuentes? You got to explain to them why you were afraid, why you were a coward. That's the only difference. Immaterial to me. We already won.
He's not wrong. He's not wrong. This is who Donald Trump has lunch with.
Mm-hmm.
This is who MAGA has become.
Mm-hmm.
And what is interesting to me now, and if I were just a passive observer, I would find it interesting, and historians, when they study this period, will find interesting, is that MAGA has been so successful that it has now been taken over by people like this.
Mm-hmm.
And they are now having loyalty tests and turning on each other. And if it turns out that this shooter was a groyper, it is because MAGA has lost control of itself. Has now been subsumed by the most extremist elements, because when everything is a loyalty test, you have to have ever more extreme loyalty tests.
Yep.
And Charlie Kirk did not pass the loyalty test, according to Nick Fuentes.
That's right. That's very well said, Julie. And you know, I wanted to share this because it has to do with Charlie Kirk specifically, and you know what we're dealing with in this moment. But there is so much on his Rumble feed that is so atrocious that I will not share it anywhere, not even for educational purposes. I won't. I will not. It's that bad. So if that disgusted you, just know that it's like the teeny tiniest tip of the iceberg compared to the rest. And you know, if you can stand it, you know, go to Rumble, go find him. But you know, hopefully I watch these things so you don't have to. If you, we haven't published that anywhere. It's on my Instagram. You can go to @the_Michelle_Kinney. It should be towards the top of my feed if you want to share it with your people. That's really the only platform that I really do anything on. But yeah, I threw that together last night because I thought it was important that people see it and the way that he talked about him, because that's where the flanking from the right is happening. To your point, Julie, it's become so successful that they've lost control. And that's where we are. And, you know, yes, this is MAGA on MAGA violence. You know, I say violence as, you know, not completely, but I mean, maybe in this point, yeah,
eventually.
But that doesn't mean that we're not part of this too. They're at war with us too. And they're coming, they want to take everybody out. I mean, whether it be ideologically or otherwise, but, you know, they don't want any of us in any sort of power or position of influence anywhere. And these people are super scary, and they really don't feel like they have anything to lose. I mean, these are people who, like, it's gay to have sex with my wife. Like, what? So, you know, I'll do my best to continue to keep people in the loop with this stuff. It's rough. I'm just gonna be real. This stuff is rough, but it is, and like I put at the beginning of the video, if you underestimate your foes, they will surprise you, and it will be unpleasant. So it is much better to know what you are dealing with than to not.
And all the things that we take for granted every day, the ability to speak out, the ability to, I don't know, have sex with your wife if you're a man, the ability to go to college if you're a woman for the purposes of education and career furtherance, and not because you want to find a husband. All of those things that at least I, at the age of 52, grew up taking completely for granted is under attack. I mean, fundamental quality of life issues. I'm not even talking about political viewpoints. I'm talking about just the ability to speak, the ability to have a loving sexual relationship with my husband, the ability to be able to educate myself.
Yep.
All of that.
To read books, for God's sakes. I mean,
to read books. All of that is under attack. As the New York Times is writing and the Wall Street Journal is writing stories about what was on his ammunition, not understanding what was on his ammunition, not understanding that it's not Antifa.
Yeah. This is going to be like trying to explain the internet to George Washington. Honestly, it's.
But setting a narrative, it is, while CNN is doing casket to casket coverage, Nick Fuentes is not doing casket to casket coverage. And I will tell you, now that Charlie Kirk is gone, a lot of the people that listen to his podcast will migrate to Nick Fuentes.
Oh, yes. There's a vacuum. And that people are looking for a leader. They want someone to listen to who's going to speak to how they are feeling, especially young men, young white men. And Nick Fuentes will be the answer. The fact that his last name is Fuentes is so ironic.
You have studies, by the way, that young people are having less and less sex. And I think everybody's like, oh, good, they're being responsible. Actually, I don't know, I haven't studied this, but it sounds to me like a lot of young men are involuntarily not having sex. Or or maybe voluntarily because they listen to Nick Fuentes and they think it's gay
Right.
to have sex with a woman. I don't even understand how you wrap your
Or
mind.
the ones that do want to have sex, it's our fault because
It's all because we don't want to have sex with them.
right.
And
correct.
so what you're doing is you're having people who are filled with immense rage and anger and hormones, which they cannot
control
take out on anybody
Yeah.
yet, blaming everybody for their plight because it is not natural not to have sex, right? In the sense that it's a human function. I mean, I don't want to get all into it, but it's a human function.
Yeah, it's part of the life cycle of like how
And
our
when you
species continues. Like,
And when you
yeah.
have 18 to 25-year-old men who are listening to this shit, and taking it seriously, physically, they're all pent up and they're full of anger. And they're taking it out on women, and they're taking it out on gay people, and they're taking it out on trans people, and they're taking it out on Jews, and they're taking it out on Black people, big time, and they're taking it out on Black people, and Latinos at the border, and Latinos who are not at the border but look like the people who they think are invading this country, and on each other. Which is why you saw what happened to Charlie Kirk, and that is the argument that we're putting out here on our little independent media site that you will not see in the New York Times. You will not see in the Wall Street Journal. And I know that it sounds so self-serving, but I promise you it's not. It is the reason we started this. You know, I don't think starting a media network was in anybody's cards, Michelle. Right?
No.
Like-
I actually was texting my friend the other day because she was like, I'm near you. Do you want to grab coffee? I was like, oh, I can. I'm like meeting up with my friend. We're launching this media network. And she was like, girl, how many jobs do you have? And I was like, I don't know, too many.
I have a real job and we're not making money on this stuff. Like I have a real job.
Yeah.
Michelle
I mean, we hope to eventually because I want to do this all the time. I think it's really important, but for right now, no, we are doing this because we have to, we need to,
because people that we rely on are bending the knee to Trump.
Yeah.
And on that note, I think it's time to go because I got to take care of my family here for a little bit.
Yeah, go enjoy your weekend and not think about this.
Well, no, Michelle, I'm sure you and I will be back either today or tomorrow to do a dispatch because I'm sure.
Oh yeah, I'll be around. I'll be around. I'm not going too far, but Julie, I'm very grateful to you and to Tara and JoJo when she's here too. I feel like the four of us, and JoJo, just to be clear, is not part of Mayday. She just comes on this show. She has the siren, which is equally as important and needed. But we all have very different perspectives and we come from different places and we have different lives. And I think that that's valuable for all of us to speak to this in our own way. And, hope we're going to have men as part of this network as well. And they'll be able to share their perspective and we're so grateful to everyone who's here to help us build this because we can't do it alone. We can't do it alone. So.
All right, everybody. Great to see you all. We will see you back here. Well, Michelle and I, I'm sure we'll be back here well before Wednesday, but the whole crew, hopefully with JoJo included, will be back here on Wednesday at noon for Over It. And then again, next Saturday, JoJo will be back as soon as soccer season is over. It's not that long, but it feels like it's long because we miss her. Yeah. And you guys, we have like thousands and thousands of people joining us every single Saturday for this. And we are so honored that you decided to spend your Saturday mornings with us. Like it's the community we're building here. Like we know you guys from the chat. We don't know your real names a lot of times, but we know we love you. Like
we see you. Yeah, we know you and we
know you and we're grateful to you. So please stick with us. And we will stick with you. We promise. Okay. Bye everybody.
Bye.